Good morning. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. We gather today, as always, to explore, to express our joys and sorrows, and our commitments to engage with the world guided by principles of love and reason, and to find strength within and to create strength within this beloved community. Today, we'll be exploring, alongside the wondrous majesties of the natural world, our intense grief at loss and our anticipated grief, the letting go of expectations that some things might have been different. So as we light our chalice today, let's invoke a spirit of courage and solidarity as we immerse ourselves into this truth, this reality, with all of its beauties and sorrows. So please say with me our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
There we are, yeah. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Doing okay? Great. Today, you're going to see some beautiful paintings of plants, birds, and animals from a book called The Lost Words. They're up there on the screen, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I want you to know that we're all a part of nature, and it's important that you go out and speak the things you see, to use and remember the words that describe our beautiful world. The first word I want to use is heather. That's a plant that lives high on the mountains and grows low along the ground. They can even grow in your garden. Many heathers bloom in winter, white, pink, and purple. Then fisher is a beautiful bird that dives for fish in ponds and rivers. See their long beaks? That's perfect for catching their supper. These kingfishers are British birds, but we have kingfishers too, mostly white, gray, and blue. If you keep your eyes open when you're near water, you can see otters around here. They're playful and curious and can swim as good as fish. Watch for them in the waters around the ferry terminal. Starlings have iridescent black speckled feathers and like to keep company with each other. Look for starlings on telephone wires and in parking lots. Sometimes thousands gather together and fly in murmurations that look like fast-moving clouds. Who here has seen a fern? Well, of course you have. They're everywhere. Spring is a special time for ferns. They survive the winter as little spiral knuckles nearly underground, and then in spring they slowly unfurl and grow. Flying low over the Salish Sea, it's easy to spot a heron coming home to roost. They gather in noisy colonies to live together, but prefer to dine out alone. Watch for them in sea shallows or in pastures and streams. Larks like to hide in plain sight, but not in trees. You find larks on bare ground in a pasture, on a beach, or a plowed field. They also nest on the open ground, so if a lark tries to lure you away, there's probably a nest nearby. Ravens are often confused for crows, but ravens are large blackbirds with a big voice and an even bigger beak. You'll hear ravens say "cronk, cronk" as he talks with his family in the highest evergreen trees. Now, in a moment, the choir will sing for you, and if you listen closely, you may recognize some of the beings we've been talking about this morning. So put on your biggest ears and see how many you can recognize. And for the adults, Why is the book called The Lost Words? Well, it began as an author's and artist's response to the removal of everyday nature words like acorn, fisher, and wren from a widely used children's dictionary. But the lost words then grew through word, art, and song to become a much broader protest at the loss of the natural world around us, as well as a celebration of the creatures and plants with which we share our lives. Listen now as we sing for you the Lost Words Blessing.
Enter the wild with care, my love, and speak the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow.
And even as you travel far through heather, crag, and river, may you, like the little fisher, set the stream alight with glitter.
May you enter now as otter, without falter, into water.
Look to the sky with care, my love, and seek the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow.
And even as you journey on, past dying stars exploding, like the gilded one in flight, leave your little gifts of light.
In the dead of night, my darling, find the gleaming eye of starling.
Like the little aviator, sing your heart to all dark matter.
Walk through the world with care, my love, and sing the things you see. Let new names take and root and thrive and grow.
And even as you stumble through mocker sands eroding, let the fern unfurl your grieving.
Let the heron still your breathing.
Let the selkie swim you deeper, oh my little silver seeker.
Even as the hour grows bleaker, be the singer and the speaker.
Wanted to listen.
In city and in
And then I
forest,
stopped. Ultimately, I
let the
already
lark
forgot to string it out.
become your chorus.
Got to
And
complete,
when every hope
just like that. You have to complete your lottery task, and and only then, I might have a chance of getting your attention.
Let the raven call you home.
Let the raven call you
And we invite the children now to go off to their classrooms as we sing a song of blessing. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. A few quick announcements. I want to welcome those of you on Zoom and invite you to stay afterward for a coffee and conversation of your own making. Our tech people will unmute everybody so you can meet and greet one another. Especially want to encourage those who have been around for a while to stay and greet the newcomers. Same, of course, for here in person. Please come down to coffee hour, right out that door and down the stairs, and join us for coffee. We also have some printed announcements in your order of service and lots more that you can find on buff.org, where you can sign up for our newsletter, the midweek update, and you can also sign up for our listserv, Buff News. One last announcement is that we're having, and this is so much fun, a fire drill. Not during the service. There's about 40 of the key people who we know are going to be in certain roles on Sundays that are going to join me for the rehearsal and instructions at noon today. But of course, we always need some, I hate to say the word victims, but additional people. If you would like, we welcome anybody to be part of the drill, because the more people who know the drill, of course, the better. And I'm also very excited to introduce you today to our new administrator. Michelle Fox is here. She'll be starting in the Buff office this coming week. And our current administrator, Kathy, who is retiring after many years of service with us, is going to stay for another month to get things settled.
Well, I have to say this is a new kind of introduction to a job that I've taken, but it's a pleasure to meet you all. Oh, sorry. There we go. I'm originally from Skagit County, moved to Whatcom County. I've been here the majority of my adult life, so I love this community. I took a year and a little bit over a year and moved away to Montana to see if Bellingham is where you wanted to be, and it only takes a year to realize. It didn't even take that long, but I'm happy to be back, and I look forward to working with all of you and for you.
All right. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Christopher Giffen, my friend, and our retreat leader for this weekend. Chris and his two friends from Edmonton, Josh and Gord, have been in a band called Revolve for 20, 30 years. And before Chris settled on his current career as a therapist here in Bellingham, he was a retreat leader, a song leader, church musician, camp director, and that kind of work. And this is maybe his future to have a little more of that, to bring his gifts to people, which are so much building community and leading people in song, even if they have no skills or they're scared to do so. So the retreat is this weekend, and you'll see the information in your order of service. But I'd like Chris to tell us a little bit about the content of what he and his band are going to be sharing with us at the retreat.
Hello, good morning. Nice to be here. I've spent more time here as in the choir of the Salish Sea, which is where Kevin and I met. And and have sung here often in that way, but haven't been here on a Sunday morning with Unitarian Fellowship, so it's really nice to see all your faces, just and be in this space and this time with you. I'm, about 22 years ago, I picked up this book of poems called The Book of Hours, and it was in a place very dear to me, Naramata Center, a retreat center in the Okanagan, BC, and I was in their little bookstore, and I picked that book up, and I read the entire first book of poems just standing at the shelf, and I couldn't put it down, and something just sung in me, just spoke to me about those poems, and through those poems. The translator of those so that was Rainer Maria Rilke's Book of Hours, and Joanna Macy and Anita Barrows translated those poems for the first time, really, into English. They were kind of personal prayers of Rilke that he wrote when he was around 20 years old. And Joanna is also a Buddhist scholar, a systems theory scholar. She has written and taught and engaged people her entire life. She's 95 now in what she originally called ecological grief or despair and empowerment work. She started to call it the work that reconnects eventually, and she realized that most people who commit their lives to trying to transform this world, to heal and to reconcile, burn out rather quickly and over again, and sometimes don't make it back into their commitment to see a better world. And so she started to create these amazing processes for psychological and spiritual resourcing to connect us to each other, to connect us to ourselves, to our earth, so that we could continue to do this important work of both honoring where we are at, truly seeing what is happening in our world, and responding, letting ourselves feel as deeply as we need to in the face of that together, though, not alone. And so Rilke, the poet Rilke, spoke that to Joanna so deeply. And Rilke sees the world and just beholds and allows such this deep swell of feeling to come as he writes. And so this song, I'm going to sing you a song, which is a sonnet by Rilke set to music. I set it to music, but translated by Joanna. And I had the wonderful privilege of learning with Joanna and leading with Joanna a number of times when I was living in Berkeley, San Francisco area. And there's a whole bunch of Rilke songs that I've set to music. This is one of them. They're just, so this song speaks about the feeling process. I'm a therapist too, so I think of Rilke as like this guru of feeling. What do we do with it, you know? Sometimes it just is so, it's mysterious and powerful, so. Rilke and Jocko just this morning heard me playing, and he's gonna sit down and do a little bit of harmonica to this song. So listen to these words and let them in as far as they'll go. You who let yourselves feel, enter the breathing that's more than your own. Let it brush your cheeks as it divides and rejoins behind you. And fear not the pain, and let its weight fall back into the earth For heavy are the mountains and heavy are the seas, heavy the mountains and the seas. Blessed ones, oh ones, you where the heart begins. You are the bow that shoots the arrows, and you are the target. So fear not the pain, and let its weight fall back into the earth. For heavy are the mountains and heavy are the seas, heavy the mountains and the seas. The trees you planted in childhood have grown too heavy. You cannot take them along. Give yourselves to the air, to what you cannot hold. Give yourselves to the air, to what you cannot hold. For heavy are the mountains and heavy are the seas, heavy the mountains and heavy the seas, heavy are the mountains and heavy are the seas. Heavy the mountains and the seas. So, yeah. So I invite you to come next weekend. You don't have to stay overnight 2 nights. If you have children, there's a children's program we're putting together from 9 until 5 or 5:30 on Saturday. There will be time to together feel, connect, reconnect, awaken our capacity to be in this aching, often scary world together with courage and love, as we're doing here together also, but a time to deepen that practice together with great resources from a spiritual elder and music to hold it. So I would say, is there anything else to say about next weekend or? Okay, great, sure.
Thanks so much, Chris. I realized as you were reminding us about the cycle that I just jumped right into the grief part of this morning, and I wonder if it's just because I was bracing myself for this. And I'm reminded, of course, that this is part of a cycle that we started talking about last Sunday, a cycle that begins in gratitude. So I think that puts me more at ease and makes me more receptive to the next piece of the cycle of acknowledging the loss. And then we begin to see with new eyes and go forth. And that's the cycle that Chris and company will be sharing with us, along with food and camaraderie and opportunities to be outside in this beautiful place up Silver Lake, which is just north of Maple Falls. And the retreat on Saturday, including 3 meals, is just $45 for adults, $25 for children 12 and free under. So please join us on the Saturday, or if you'd like to stay overnight Friday and Saturday night, that's an option too, and there's more information for that at a table downstairs afterward. But let's take a moment now to join in a spirit of meditation. We often share a loving kindness meditation, beginning with ourselves, extending this to those we love, and then somehow finding the courage, because we've received that loving kindness ourselves, to go even beyond those we love, to extend it even to those that we're kind of struggling to love. Today, yes, let's begin. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be resilient and know love. But now, in the reaching out, I'm going to ask you to maybe see a little bit differently. Instead of picturing another person that you'd like to bless with loving kindness, try this. Picture in front of you now a non-human being or a natural habitat. For me, ospreys spring to mind, or there's this enormous Douglas fir in my neighborhood. Maybe for you it's a mountain glacier or a creek full of salmon. So take a moment to envision before you just one being or landscape. And gaze as if looking into their eyes. I think even if it's a worm or a decaying nurse slug, we can still approach it as if with such respect and such welcome and such acknowledgement that it's as if we're looking into its eyes. And now I invite you to silently say to your beloved, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be resilient. And may you know love. And perhaps just say a few more words now to your beloved. And this might seem even odder now, but presumptuous even, but I encourage you to ask your beloved creature or place, ask them to help you, to be with you in your grief. Why would we be so arrogant as to ask them for help? My hope for us today is that we can reinforce the connections between ourselves and all of these creatures and beings. Considering whatever it is that you imagined before, considering what it has already given you, it might feel outrageous to ask for more. but I think it can be extraordinarily powerful to say to any of our beloveds, let's be partners in this journey of loss and renewal. I haven't completely done my part, but I'm not going to walk away. So now ask them for what you need. And finally, let's say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, beloved, for your beauty, your gifts, and your presence. Amen.
Let's remain seated and sing the hymn, What Wondrous Love Is This, number 18 in the gray hymn book.
Coming home to grief is sacred work. To acknowledge the many ways that our kinship with one another, our kinship with the earth and all her creatures, is being assaulted daily. We do this not to add to the suffering with paralyzing guilt, but to help us maintain our grounding in love and compassion. Grief is the counterpoint of the bittersweet song of life. Or rather, not the song of life, static, but rather the singing of living, the counterpoint of the ongoing rhythms of breathing and release. Through our grief, we reaffirm the superior beauty of natural wonders over manufactured objects, the superior truth of our real life experiences over the manufactured emotions we can get sucked into online, the superior goodness of the natural cycles of life over any illusions of permanence. In solidarity, then, today and always, let's reinvest that incredible power of beauty, truth, and goodness to grow in courage, in concert, to step forth even though the way forth will inevitably include grief. But we'll know that we can be with that grief and live through it. Grief, it seems, is a solitary journey, best not taken alone. I hope some of this can be helpful today, not just in application to environmental loss, but regarding all of the losses, all of the personal and social, the war, the crime, the hunger, the homelessness, all of the things that might be weighing us down so heavily, for which grief, again, is often a solitary journey, best not taken alone. Because to share common beliefs can be unifying, but to share common goals can be more so. And then to act together toward achieving these goals, especially when that means taking a couple of steps forward, a few steps back, a couple of steps forward, back and forth. Even that can be even more unifying, I think. But then to actually feel together, I think there is nothing more unifying. I don't mean always feeling the same thing at the same time, but to be with one another, open to one another's joy, vulnerable to one another's sorrow, sometimes holding up one another, sometimes being held, and accepting one another through all of these stages of enthusiasm, hope, desperation, letting go. There is nothing more unifying and empowering. Empowering. And still, we need to grieve the capacity gap. The gap between what we can do to help and what we are so convinced needs to be done. Because that gap is real, it is big, and it will always be there. Between what we alone can do to help and what we can do and what we are convinced needs being done. Because that gap is still there, even when we are working together, a family, a congregation, a global movement. Now, I'm always preaching about finding strength to act, putting our principles into practice, keep working on our relationships. Build up your courage and skills so that you can keep working on relationships. Here at Buff, we're always offering opportunities to give, So much so that it probably feels overwhelming at times. And you know what? It will. When we stretch ourselves, it feels good, and we see from a new vista with new eyes, but we see always that there is more out there, more to glory in, but also more that's just not right. Not just the human cruelty, but unpreventable natural disasters. There's always more to breathe in and to breathe out. A further road on which to keep going. Keep on caring without somehow being paralyzed by our care. Kept from doing what we can, where we are, with what we have. To acknowledge our losses, this deliberately, but not obsessively. It's a tough balance. Not run away from it, to be deliberate, know it, see it, without getting obsessed by it. And to do that again and again. It's a healthy process. The breathing in, the breathing out, breathing in, crying a little bit in the meantime, and breathing out. But if we only breathe in, the beauty, the wonder, the miracle, or if we only breathe out the poisons of anger, cynicism, well, so we need to do it again and again. It's only human. And so acknowledging the gap, grieving and forgiving ourselves for our limits, which might help too, so that we can forgive others their limits. Another reason to breathe, to look at both our joys and our sorrows again and again, is because we can get better at this with practice. When we allow ourselves to crack open and allow ourselves to release, we get better with practice. Because if we haven't for a while, it can feel too vulnerable to crack open. Or it can feel too guilty to release. To let the pain go can feel like I can feel guilty. Maybe you felt it. There are certainly times in my life that I've been paralyzed by grief, and I know it, and I know that it's becoming counterproductive, but still I don't let go. I can't let go. I don't let go. I don't know if it's don't or can't, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't have a grip on me. I have a grip on it. I won't let go because it feels as if I let go, it would somehow be a signal that I don't care enough. The only way I can really show how devoted I am to my love is to never let go of that suffering. But no, breathe in, breathe out. Practice does not make perfect, but practice can make us more fluent. The capacity gap, of course, does not just apply to things environmental. How can we not see Israel, Gaza, threats to democracy, growing inequality, even smaller things closer to home that actually, for some of us, can't be fixed. For some of us, leaking roofs or rifts in family relationships. We don't have. As much as we know, well, it would sure be a lot better in the long run if I could fix this. There are some things that we might not have the resources to fix. So we don't need only to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we need to forgive reality. Here's a suggestion, an opportunity. This may seem strange, but please consider this. During coffee hour today, stand together with another person, one-on-one, look one another in the eye, and say something like, I'm mourning the loss of blank. Just that, 5 seconds. And then the other person speaks, I'm mourning the loss of blank. 5 seconds. Then take a moment to look at one another. Maintain that contact. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever feels right. Long enough to feel together the profundity and depth of one another's truths. The gleam of awakening that can arise in those spaces in between. Maybe you'll do this with someone you know well, and you'll come away from it knowing one another even better. Or if it's someone that you don't know well, I think you may begin a bond that can flower in unexpected ways. And if it's someone you've never met, maybe someone who's here for the first time, looking around thinking, what the heck have I gotten myself into? It's very possible that they will know that this is a place where we don't need to be afraid of reality. And the way reality can break us open and bring us together. Maybe you're thinking, no, this is so hard. No one has ever asked me before to share my grief. So acknowledging it openly or even inwardly can be unsettling. In fact, even that thought running through your head, no one has ever asked me before to share my grief. That alone might bring up some real sadness. So of course it's okay if you don't do the exercise, but as you're walking around, if you see somebody with wet eyes, don't be surprised. Be real. Michael Dowd died this week. Michael Dowd was a traveling evangelist of the good news of reality. Sometimes he called himself Reverend Reality because God, he said, to the extent that he referred to God, is reality. Whatever is what we need to deal with and is what we can revere and rely upon until it changes and becomes our new reality. Michael and his wife, Connie Barlow, traveled all around the United States for, I think, something like 18 years, speaking at hundreds of schools and congregations. He was here at Buff at least twice. He was at my previous congregation 2 or 3 times. I always felt so fortunate to hear his inspiring talks. He spoke at churches of many different denominations and even at the UN. Reverend Reality, who said, call it whatever you want, give it a name if that helps. I wish I could remember what he said. He said, Connie and I call it, I can't remember if it was Glenn or Mary Beth or something like that, but they had a name for reality that made it easier to, get in touch with, and so they could talk to one another and have conversations together. Helped them feel more connected to reality, to love it, but also to deal with it, because it's what we have. It's what we are. Michael and Connie began their touring with a focus on what they called evolutionary Christianity and the great story. They called it the great story with a capital G and a capital S, because this, the evolution of the cosmos, that story from the Big Bang through eons of gathering and dispersing of matter into life and consciousness, this epic of evolution is not dry science, but an inspirational narrative, the narrative of our existence, told by the biggest consciousness, this evolving consciousness that ever can be, the entire universe of reality. They began with evolutionary Christianity, and about 10 years ago, they shifted their focus to climate change and how to face our challenges with hope and determination. And about 5 years ago, they were here last in 2019. They shifted focus again to what Michael called post-doom theology. Post-doom was a word he coined for the process of moving through the stages of grief, then beyond mere acceptance and more fully into calm, clarity, and courageous love in action. It was a spirituality, Michael's gone. He knew he would be gone. He had cancer at that time. He knew he would be gone. But it is a spirituality, he said, and keeps saying to us. A spirituality that accepts the fullness of reality, the tragedy as well as the beauty. The spirituality moves into and then eventually beyond grief, beyond repentance, toward a deeper, more courageous, compassionate aliveness. Post-doom theology, he said, is what opens up when we remember who we are, accept the inevitable, honor our grief, and prioritize what is pro-future. Not knowing what that future is, but prioritizing that within limits, prioritizing what is pro-future and soul nourishing. That post-doom perspective can be practical. It's not nihilism. It's not lethargy. It's kind of a secular name for faith, a form of trust. Because from there, generous and compassionate actions can continue. But they tend to be smaller in scope. They are here and now. And get this is one I'm still chewing on. Free from hope. Free from even the need for hope. Free to understand who we are, what we have, and with perhaps a vision, but with such inner calm that we're not going to be destroyed by this fear or this nervousness that the better vision may not come. Just stepping forward. little pieces here and now. Amen. So many little pieces that this congregation does, each and every one of you. I'm reminded each time we take up a collection that there's financial ways that you support this congregation and so many other good organizations in this community that work within the principles of our tradition, making the world a better place. You support financially, but we have limits financially. Some of us probably don't, which, we ought to work within our limits, but limits, some of us have more resources emotionally or time, creativity, all of the things that we do that way fulfill the mission of this congregation. So I thank you for all of the ways that you do that.
Let's rise in body and spirit and sing hymn 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
That hails anew
now I urge you go out and pick up some leaves. Observe them. Tell them thank you. I don't think it would be destructive to squish them and feel all of their crackliness and wet. And because both grief and wonder can be shared, the burden lightened, the joy heightened. If you see someone who cannot bend down to pick up a handful of leaves, don't be shy in asking someone, don't be creepy about it, but if they would like you to join with you in that experience. Let's squish together and spread apart and join again. I look forward to seeing you next time. And before we leave, let's circle around for freedom. We'll probably need a couple of an internal and an external concentric circle.